Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining, everybody. I'm sure most of you have heard of the concept of an infinity bottle, but have you heard of the concept of an infinity single barrel? We'll go over what I mean with that term in just a bit, but in case you aren't familiar with the term infinity bottle first, that is where you would take the remnants of various bottles around your whiskey collection, and rather than just bottle kill them, you blend them together and you just keep pouring them into the same bottle over and over again, adding layers upon layers. And it's an infinity bottle because it never goes low. So then what's an infinity single barrel? Might not be what you're thinking about if you're thinking about one of those small barrels. We're not going there. I'm going to take it in a different direction. So thank you for joining today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. All right. So for today, we are going to go over this concept of an infinity single barrel. Once again, not talking about a small barrel that I'm actually pouring things in, though I do know people around the community that do that with their small barrels, essentially turning it into an infinity barrel. But instead, what happens in my collection, particularly the last 4 years, as I really concentrate on buying mainly single barrels and group picks, I have ended up with so many whiskeys around the basement that are now somewhere between halfway to a third full. And once they reach that point, oxidation starts to take over. I know there's going to be diminishing returns. So the choices I have are A, kill the bottle, B, share the bottle, C, pour it into tinier sample bottles and just hide it in the closet, or D, this new concept that I am going to be pushing here called the infinity single barrel. Now, for A, let's just bottle kill it. Man, I do so many reviews and we have so many single barrels that are coming out from our group. I really can't concentrate on any given bottle in order to kill it. And if you know anything about my house, floor whiskey is a dirty, dirty word. No floor whiskey. Actually, I should wear that hat throughout the rest of this video. All right, that's better. No floor whiskey is practically my motto. But as the bottles continue to come in, how do I avoid floor whiskey? Well, I could share it more. What I found, though, is that it is harder to share away things more and more, especially when there's so many dang bottles down here. I could pour it into tiny sample bottles, but at this point, because I've been pouring various bottles into little sample bottles to save them for later, I'm now up to the point where I've got like 600 2-ounce sample bottles saved. And it's like, I really don't need any more of those. So let's go with option D, infinity single barrels. Let's blend them. Now, I've got some rules that I'm putting together here. And this is all a test for me as well, but I'm always going to blend whiskeys from the same distillery and keep them in the same type. And what I'm thinking with that is, hopefully those things gel a bit better. And if that blend is off, as I mix more and more in there, I think that blend will catch up to itself and even out. But I feel like there's more safety rails if I keep it within a distillery and within a type than there is with what I've done with infinity bottles in the past. When sometimes it can just get a bit too funky, depending what you put in there, or it even gets tasteless sometimes. So I am going to put this concept to the test today. I have in my hands 2 different blends that I have been mingling for the last 3 months. Both of these bottles were chosen because A, they're some of my favorite groups and some of my favorite stickers, or even some of my favorite memories associated with single barrels. And it's a fun way to keep the life of this bottle and this sticker going into the future. So for the rye blend, I utilized Eddie's Encore here, coming from 2 bros, 1 bottle. You know, I just can't let Eddie die. This is now filled with MGP rye whiskey ranging from 7 years to 11 years old. And I did the same thing with some MGP bourbon. No regrets on this one. This one has MGP bourbon ranging from 7 years to 11 years old as well. And if you do come over to my house, I am marking these, so I'm not trying to confuse any of my guests with any of the blends. But frankly, I doubt people would even tell the difference. But we will find out here. I'm going to go into the bourbon first, and I'm going to judge my work a little bit here with this blend. Let's see if this concept is worth it and whether I should keep it going. Oh, there's some nice oak and cherry on this one. Honey, graham cracker, powdered sugar, Very, very down the middle for MGP, though the oak and the cherry is a distinguishing factor. All right. In for a sip. Let's see if the mouthfeel survived this blend. Oh, yeah, that's delicious. I can't say I was too strategic in the components that went into this, mainly these bottles because of how low they were. And I just wanted the life to go on a little longer. Blend on this one is great though. Oak is really shining through almost as a consistent chocolate all the way through as well. Still getting that cherry note, still getting the honey note, and getting that higher rye on the back of the palate, particularly in the finish. If you didn't tell me that this was a blend and you just told me this was a single barrel, I would say this team did a heck of a job on this particular pick. All right, we're 1 for 1. Let's see how the rye did. Now, I must say, I've actually never really blended rye before. I was thinking about that as I was putting this one together. You know, different bourbons, I have a sense of how that would come together. But when it comes to blending a rye, I really don't know if there's a good strategy behind it, if all 95.5 rye can come together in the way that I'm plotting here. But as mentioned, this is a blend of 7-year to 11-year rye. I do not know the proof, though. I really didn't keep track of the proportions or the original proofs, though I would imagine it's around 110, 120 by the time it was all said and done. All right. Let's go into the nose of this rye. Oh man, that is super fruity. Oh, that is wonderful. You know what? I know what's adding the fruit of that too. I had a Mash and Journey Nashville Barrel Company pick. It was Dr. Pepper, the Dr. Pepper Cherry Dr. Pepper rye or something like that. I can feel the fruits, even though that's only like a few ounces in there, like blasting through or just melding well in this. Quite a bit of that dark oak too. There are some 10-year and 11-year ryes in here. Tell you what, the nose on the rye, I am particularly happy with. I actually think I might like it better than the bourbon. Man, I really hope all those fruits are on the palate. Cheers, everybody. Oh, it's even better. Fruits are wild. It's all red fruits up front, tropical fruits in the back. The oak on the bourbon was a bit more predominant, though the dark flavors here really do hold this rye together. Oh, man. What's also interesting on this one is how sweet it is. There's a lot of sweetness coming through, especially for a 95.5 rye. I love that. I think I like the rye better than the bourbon, so success on the first rye blend. So we are going to experiment here now that we've gone through the concept, but this is what then sits on my mind. So here we are right here with one of my favorite Green River picks of all time. But the Mash and Journey did a pick, and this one had so much rock and cherry on it. I think they called it Cherry Garcia or something. I can't quite remember the name on this one. Maybe like George T. Cherry. Oh, it was a George T. something. I also feel like this isn't the first time that this has tripped me up before. But with us now getting to the bottom third, and it's been there a while, and honestly, this cork is a little suspect as well now that I'm touching it. What do I do with this? Do I just kill it? Or do I take the unique cherryness in this one and combine it with other Green River to see if I can find something new? You already know that answer. We're going to see if we can find something new here. So I'm actually going to pour a little bit of the Jorge T-Stag. Haha, found it. I'm going to pour a little bit of this so that we have a remnant of it for me to be able to compare. And then what I got here is another Green River pick getting real low. This one from Barrels for Hope. I'm going to pour a little of this one out before I start blending. Ooh, that one's got more of like a light cherry to it compared to that dark cherry. Now, this one's not getting too low yet, but I am going to use this to top things off. But I got a single barrel from the Bourbon Junkies from Bourbon in the Barn 2024. The proofs on these are all between 125 and 130. And all we got to do is just pour them together. Let's see what happens here. I got to top it off with a little bit of that Bourbon in the Barn. And then just like that, we've got new space on the bar. So bottle down. You know, I've been actually getting a collection of my bottles here because I got an aunt who's actually doing like all types of artwork with bourbon bottles. And she said, hey, Jeff, if you have like 1 or 2 that you can give me from now and then, that would be helpful. She has no idea what she's in store for. Now, typically, I would let this mingle a bit more before I got into it. But for today's experiment, I am going to see how this blend stacks up compared to the Barrels for Hope and the original Mash and Journey on its own. I'll try not to agitate too much here, but just want to cycle through a little bit, force a little bit of mingling. And with this in mind too, I have had a lot of recent success blending Four Roses single barrels into custom blends as well. Though those I'm more particular about actually trying to find the blend versus these now being infinity bottles for MGP and now a new one for Green River. But the idea is going forward though, I'll keep pouring Green River in this. I'll keep pouring MGP in the other two. All right, so we got the blend here. And then this is Jason's original. The color's not too far off on camera. It does seem like the blend's a little lighter, but that does make sense based on its components. Oh my God, absolutely gorgeous cherry on the blend. Oh yeah, this might have worked really well. We'll see if this marries long term. Wild. On the nose, the blend actually might be the champion right now. It's got the darker cherry that it's mainly getting from the mash and journey, but it also has these excellent layers of baking spices. There's a hint of chocolate on the mash and journey on its own, but not those baking spices. And while those baking spices are present, man, I actually think the pours in the barn, the bourbon in the barn one, added that layer. All right. Let's see how the blend does on the taste. Cheers, everybody. Oh, that worked exceedingly well off first impression here. Holy cow. I feel like I just found something accidental. That is like strawberry. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. That is like straight strawberry covered in sugar, little bit of chocolate, lots of baking spices. Oh my gosh, I think this Green River is actually better than those first two MGP blends. All right, let's go into the Mash and Journey on its own. Oh yeah, that Mash and Journey is so good. Man, that cherry note. I am really glad I blended the remnants of that Mash and Journey to let it live on, because the cherry note that they found on that particular single barrel is one of the best cherry notes I've ever had on a Green River. So rather than just killing it and letting it die on the vine, now it's part of the backbone of this new blend I created that mixed that dark cherry with the lighter cherries from the other two and created that more cherry strawberry feeling. But I absolutely adore this blend right now. So good. One thing left to do, and that is to mark this single barrel now that it is no longer original. I'll put the red dial on there to tell me later that it is the blend. And I'm going to continue to do this with other brands in my basement where I am finding 2, 3, 4 single barrels of them that are extra low. It is time to blend them to create something new. Worst case scenario, I create something that's off, and what do? I wait till I have a little more and I just keep blending. But given that I typically don't buy single barrels from pickers I don't trust, the chances of some of these blends not marrying, at least at a baseline level, is pretty slim. So what do you think of this concept of the Infinity single barrel? Have you already been trying this? Have you done it yourself? Are you intrigued to do it now that you saw me do it? Curious about your reactions, and we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, buddy.